Welcome back to LAconic. I know it's been a long time since my last episode. I lost a dear mentor back in December. Her loss hit me hard, and I had to use that time off to really be with myself and heal from it. But I will never forget her lessons, and I know she would be happy that I am doing this podcast again. That being said, let's get the show started. Joining me today are two incredible individuals. One has been on my show before. You guys might remember him, Sipper. He was a 3-time bodybuilding champion, a U.S. cyclist, and a motivational speaker. We have a special guest today joining on this joint podcast, Lewis Ford. Most of his fan base might know his slogan, the warrior mindset. This man is no joke. Most might see his content and judge him and question, is this guy legit or just a gimmick? Well, I am here to tell you he is the real deal. And after this episode, you will say the same. How did you guys two meet?
We met at the gym, and and I was scared of him, so I tried to make him my friend immediately, so he wouldn't pick on me. But no, I started following what he does on Instagram and stuff like that, and so I was a very powerful person that's accountable for what he's done or what he does. You know, he's present. He's here. Most people out there are not present when you talk to them. They're not accountable for what they do. They don't believe in themselves. So when I met him and talked with him and get to know a little bit more about him, I understood that he was a real person. He's genuine. He's spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically balanced. And he's got a great amount of dedication, drive, discipline, desire. And that's what creates greatness in your life. And people go through their lives, they don't want to create greatness. They just want to create from day to day. People say, I live my life day to day. I live my life with lots of things in the future. I don't focus on the past. And I think you're talking to a man who does that too.
Lewis?
When I met Zipper, it was cool. Flex Gym, this is where we both train clients at. The vibe was on point, and the first thing he said was, look, man, what do you have for sale? I was selling merchandise, Warrior Mindset, hoodies, and every single color he purchased, T-shirts, hoodies, he supported consistently, and not because it's a cool slogan, but because he actually believes in the individual who started the brand. So I just want to say I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too.
Yep, and it's all about that reciprocation of energy. So that's what it's all about, man.
And you even brought me to my next section on that. You guys both bring this energy to the gym that I've noticed. And I think we are missing that and lacking that in the gym environment. I mean, I was just working out at Gold's Gym Venice yesterday, and everyone has their headphones, everyone's doing their thing, but it's like they're just there to show off. No one cares about lifting anyone up, telling you, hey, man, I've been seeing you here day in, day out, doing your thing. Like, keep killing it. And I've been at Flex for like 4 months, and people constantly come up to me, hey, man, you're doing a good job. This guy's killing you. And it's just like, I respect that energy. I respect because you know, you're there more often than you're in that place more than you're actually at home with your kids or whoever you're going back to, and you're just there day in, day out. And you guys bring this energy there that was warrior mindset.
Yes.
Can you please explain to us what that means to you and where did this idea come about?
Okay. The warrior mindset is about the internal dialogue. So it's basically the conversation that we're having with ourselves, the time that we wake up to the time that we go to sleep. So no matter what you're currently dealing with, my whole thing is always to look at the glass as being half full instead of half empty, and working on myself, talking to myself, communicating with myself, identifying my strengths, my weaknesses, and making sure that I'm working every single day to better myself. And it started in solitary confinement. So I really feel like we established that when we start to silence the outside noise, eliminate distractions, and really get in tune with who we truly are, and then we can focus on the things we need to do to get better.
You know, and what he's talking about. I mean, you know, you were talking about the atmosphere in the gym. Well, he became the atmosphere in the gym when he came. So there's a lot of people that are in there, and they're in there to make their money, to do their thing. But really, are they motivated? Are they driven? No, they don't do what they need to do. They spend 1 hour in the gym, if that, 5 minutes training, 55 minutes talking. They leave and wonder why they're not in great shape. You know, so that has to change. It has to change. That's why I talk about people being accountable, people being present, and understanding that this is not a joke. This is not a game. This is something that's about your body, about how you're going to feel about yourself. And I think what we have out there is we have a lack of kindness, a lack of love, and we have a lot of people that are angry. Okay? And you're angry and you ask them what they're angry about, and they go, well, I don't know. No, you do know. Because the answer you just gave me, told me you are angry. Because somebody told me you're an angry person, I'd say, no, I'm not an angry person. I wouldn't say, well, what I got to do to prove it to you. So, I mean, I think it's a matter of having people around, more people around that are there for you. And I think your girl and you are a great couple, just a great couple. They're powerful, and I think that you try to create greatness and power within your relationships. I don't care what they're with or what it's about, but I try to do that with my clients. I try to do that with everybody that I work with, and not everybody's going to get along with me, and I get that, but I'm going to give them the right information. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people don't like to hear the right information because it creates commitment, and they fear commitment.
And we can go back to Lewis he mentioned you're in, I mean, I listened to your story, so I'm going to go straight to it. Mm-hmm. You were in prison. You did 5 years.
Yes.
And it was for
drugs and guns.
Okay, so it was for that. And did you go in there happy?
Did I go in there happy? No. I went in there disappointed. I had let my family down. I have a son, a daughter, 3 younger sisters, even my older brother. They all look up to me. So I felt there was a lot of resentment, regret, but there wasn't a whole lot of direction. So while inside, that's the thing that I started working on. Instead of being upset about my environment, external environment, I started to work on that internal environment, working on my mind, working on my spirit, creating different habits, viewing things different, and also shaping a new person. So everything that I did from the age of 16 to 26 involved the street. So my whole thing was, how do I change? And it started with just a whole lot of just reflection. So I always push allowing yourself to have that time in solitude, not just in prison. You can be a free man and still be in prison of the mind. So allowing yourself to have that silent time and get in tune with who you are and work on the things you need to work on to get better. So that's what I did while in prison, and I had a vision, and I'm working it every single day. And every single day I'm going back to that drawing board, looking at the journal, and working on weaknesses that I still have today.
Did you look up was there anyone in prison that influenced you, or you just woke up one day and you're like, I want to change my life? Because I know for him it was his grandparents were a big influence to him. Like for you, was there anyone in prison that influenced you? Was there anyone outside that influenced you?
For me, it was outside. Like I said, I had my son when I was 16, and I had my daughter when I was 20. So it was really, for me, it was my children and my sisters. It was a promise that I had made my mother before she passed. Because my father passed at a young age, and my mother. And it was not holding up to that promise that really lit my fire. So I knew it wasn't the end. However, in order to keep that promise that I would never go back to prison and I would put myself and my family in a better position, I knew I had to become something different, or I would go right back to the street. And that's where recidivism comes in. So my whole thing was to avoid recidivism and make sure that I never go back to prison, and not just avoid prison, but also be great and add to humanity. I needed to become and add more to who I truly was. So it was getting back to just tapping into who I was and keeping that promise that I gave to my children. And that's the fuel behind it.
You go to the bottom to get back to the top. And reality is, in our lives, we've climbed the mountain and fallen off and had to climb it again and again. And pretty soon you're getting scuffed knees and elbows and you're going like this. Wait a minute, I don't want to keep climbing this mountain. I'd rather stay up there. I'm good. But I've watched him throughout, and I've gotten to know him. And, and again, we do have similar stories. I didn't have nothing when I was a kid. He came up tough, and obviously the streets gave him alive. And the bottom line is, you have to at some point in your life go, who am I? And really look at who you are, not what's around you or what people tell you are, but who are you and what are you going to become? And are you going to become that? And how are you going to do it? So you obviously we're enlightened to figuring those things out, because that's what I had to do.
Yeah, and look, I share a similar story. I was in foster care when I was age 12, so I got taken away from my parents, and during that time I was in a gang. I was on my way to juvenile hall. I wanted to be a prison gang leader, but in the wrong way. I wanted to lead in prison. I wanted to be a top dog in prison. I was on my way. I had 2 felonies by the age of 12. I do this podcast. I want to inspire people that there's people just like you guys, like me, walking around here that had a bad, I guess I call it a bad deck of cards, and we're just trying to make a better deck of cards, and we're trying to inspire people. We want to motivate people, and I mean, I'm blessed every single day to wake up to know. Like the other day, I was driving my car and I like saw this lady on the street, and I can just see pain in her face, and she was homeless, and it made me cry because I was like, wow, like that could have been me, that could have been my mom, like that was me. I was homeless at one point, so like I know what that feels like. So it was like pain for me, but it's like, I'm given this God gift to be here to help people.
So I have a question. What was the thing that made you switch your trajectory?
So similar to yours, but mine was my siblings. My brother, he looked up to me, my little brother. I mean, he's taller now. He's way taller than me now. He's 6'5", but I call my little brother still. It was him. It was being in the group home. I had this kid named Raul. He was a gang prison leader. He saw me. He was 18 years old. He saw me at 12. He looked at my little brother. He was 9, and he goes, "Yo, I don't care what you do, whatever you do not disappoint that kid right there. That little boy right there, he's looking up to you because my brother didn't. He disappointed me. My brother's in prison right now. He's doing 25 alive. I'm on my way to do 25. Don't let your brother down because my brother let me down, and I wish I could do it all over again. I wish I could tell my brother that." So my little brother changed my whole life. If it wasn't for I wouldn't have done it for anyone else. I said, look, my brother is looking up to me, so I better go to school, better get a college degree because he's looking up to me because I'm all he has to look up to. I'm the only role model as a male in my family. We're single mother.
Yeah.
And I was man in the house at 5 years old. So my brothers always looked up to me. So sorry, I don't get emotional about this, but it hits deep because it's a good question.
It's okay to get emotional.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's okay.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. With when I speak about the warrior mindset, is that conversation that you have with yourself. It's winning the war within. It's no longer identifying with where I came from and all of the struggle and pain, and then consistently perpetuating that, but stepping into something new. Because it's like breaking habits and seeing myself different. And when you say, Zipper, who am I? It's defining yourself and walking in that path, and also holding yourself accountable to stay on that path, because we're not perfect. Some days I find myself falling back into just the mindset of just that grit and that grime and that pushing and the hard and aggression. And it's like, yo, you know what? I came out and it's all about peace. It's about love and happiness. So it's a daily challenge, daily, day in and day out. It's repetition. So to anybody listening, when I say win the war within, it's all about just identifying with who you are today and not allowing the past to consistently pull you back in.
Well, that right there is a big thing. I mean, you look at the past. There's nothing for you in the past. Nothing. And if you focus on it, that's who you'll become. You got to focus on getting out of that past. They say the past, it's gone. The future's the future. We have no idea. And today is the present. It's a gift. So the bottom line is live in the gift. God gave it to you. God gave us all the time we want. But when it's gone, you don't get it back. So time, it's what do you spend your time doing? How are you making a difference in your life? My whole deal in my life is that if I get up in the morning, and my past, it was not a good past, it was more like his. But the bottom line is, if I get up in the morning and I can make a difference in my life and somebody else's life, I'm a successful man. So that's what I want to do, is I want to know that somehow, some way, even if it's saying hello to somebody. Sometimes people in the gym that I don't really know, I'll say, hey, how you doing? And they get a big smile on their face because maybe I've not said hello to them. So sometimes it's so simple, but you've got to have that in your heart and in your mind, in your spirit, to do that type of thing. God's there for us, and sometimes we get things coming to our spirit. It's like little demons sitting on your shoulder saying, no, do this. Well, the bottom line is you have a choice. When I get up in the morning, I have a choice to be happy or be sad. I don't know if today's my last day, if tomorrow's my last day. I just know that I need to make this day an important day for not just me, but for the people around me.
Yeah, and Sipper, I'm gonna go back on that. Like today, I was pretty angry. I got up. I was like pretty mad, and I think I was upset at one of my friends, and I just was upset towards him and giving him all this negativity energy, and it was like hurting my stomach. And then I like thought back, and I looked back. I'm like, look, I'm reading this book right now. It's called The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I'm actually listening to it. I highly recommend you guys check it out, though. I'll definitely let you guys know about it. But she mentions that happiness is key to everything. So I'm like thinking happiness, like what does that mean to me? So I'm letting that process in. I'm like, okay, it means to be just be happy. So I'm like, my stomach's hurting. Obviously, I don't like to be a mean guy. So I call my friend up, yo, I appreciate you for being my friend. I appreciate you for always being there for me when I need you. And I just show appreciation. And man, when I hanged up that phone, I was like, I feel so good. I feel happy. I'm like smiling. I'm like, because I don't need that negativity. We already have so much out in this world. It's just go out living, being happy. And I've learned, I'm like, if I just stay happy, man, I was like, no matter who tries to tell me anything, if I'm just happy, I will be good in this world.
And it speaks about like the conscience. Like no matter what, when we plant positive seeds, we feel good about ourselves, and we create more opportunities, more circumstances where you run into more good energy. And then the same on the flip side, that negative energy where you know like, yo, I got to make amends, I got to apologize, and just holding myself accountable to doing to others what I would want them to do to myself. So it's like that's really good right there, because after you did it, I'm sure you felt way lighter.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like a load on you, man. So that's decent. And we care about how our friends view us, because that's honor, that's loyalty, that's being stand up. So if you say you're going to be a friend, it calls for us to, sometimes admit when we're wrong and just apologize, man. So that's decent. I love that, man.
Absolutely.
Well, what you really find is, I mean, in your life you have a choice. You have gratitude or you have attitude. Most people run around with attitude. They live in their attitude. They live in the negativity. They surround themselves with negative people, and they become negative. Take a negative person, put them in with a group of positive people, and very quickly that person will become positive. So what you surround yourself with and what you do, the bottom line is I have gratitude every day. I'm 69 years old. I ain't here for 100 more years, probably only 98. So anyway, I mean, it's just gratitude and thanking God that I'm here each day. And he's brought me through lots of things, just like he's brought you through lots of things, and we didn't even recognize it. We didn't even recognize. Sometimes I get a little pissed off or something like that, and I feel like lightning bolts coming, and he's talking to me. I go, oh, hold on. I changed my mind, and that's all it is. It's changing your mind. You're going to be happy, you're going to be sad. You choose to be sad, you will be. Choose to be happy, you will be. Choose to be the best at what you want to be, you have to find out what the road is. And you go down that road, and you're relentless. You don't look back. You don't make excuses. Excuses are failure. Okay? So in life, I think, what you've learned, what I've learned, that if I make excuses about something, I'm failing. And my grandparents taught me that. I said my grandmother's the oldest of 13 sisters and brothers, and she raised me by myself. I didn't get away with anything. And at times I'd look and go, and now I look back and go like this, it wasn't for her, I never would have done what I did in my life. I never would have won these titles. I never would have hung in there. I never would have stayed. I never would have been the person I am today. I probably would have been with you way back then. I mean, it's really the truth. I was going down the wrong road. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, I can't let her down. My family's all broken up. My brothers and sisters are all from different fathers. I'm from different fathers, never knew him. My mother, I found out she died 9 years ago. I found out last year she died. I'm the easiest one in the world to find. But nobody in the family chose to do that. So that doesn't deter me. It just makes me understand where they're at and where I'm never going to be. So it's not a negative thing. My mother was never really part of my life, but I love my mother. She's my mother. Mm-hmm. Would I want to go hang out with her and go to dinner with her tonight? Probably not. But reality is, you have to look at all these challenges that hit you. What are you going to do with challenges? What do you do when you're confronted with something that you don't know how to do? Figure it out. Figure it out. I spent 20 years competing. Every single show hurt like hell. But I spent 20 years competing. I did 100 shows. Most pro bodybuilders in their lives do 30. But that's what kept me focused. And I realized the people around me respected that. And the one thing we haven't really talked about here is it's respect. You can argue, you can fight, you can disagree, you can agree to disagree, not agree to disagree. But when somebody disrespects you, they cross the line. That's where you stand your ground. My grandfather said, if somebody disrespects you and you don't stand up for yourself, I'll stand up to you when you get home. And I really believe that. You just try not to disrespect people. Everybody has their story. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different points of view. Everybody spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically is different. So I can't look at somebody and say, hey, you should be a bodybuilder. I don't know. I don't want to be a bodybuilder at all. I get it. You know, so I work with people. I try to better them. I don't try to tell them I want you to be like me. I want you everything I did. Then that sounds egotistical. And ego stands for one thing: edging God out. So when you drop your ego, you're back in touch with Him or her.
Yeah. And you know, I go back to the respect thing. I'm totally big on that. But what do you do, like, even for you too, Lewis? Like, what do you do when someone knows you personally, they know you very well, and they try to get you back to that level where you used to be at? Like, what's your move? That how do you, like, kind of curb the all? 'Cause I mean, I get tossed in that situation a lot when people know who I am. They just know what to pick and what to say to get me in, get me in, get whatever thoughts in there, and I let them in there, and then they take me back to that level. What do you do to kind
Well,
of get
you
your outs
get
out of that?
bruised when somebody disrespects you or takes you to a different level or a level you don't even want to live at. So I don't choose to go there, number one. But the bottom line is when you get that, it's a bruise to you. The subconscious mind responds to negative and positive. I could say you're an idiot. Subconscious mind goes, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, you're a real good bodybuilder. Oh, I'm a real good bodybuilder. Now you have to consciously decide who you are and what you're doing, or you're going to let that destroy you. Because when people do that to you, they're trying to destroy your mind. They're trying to take away from who you are. They're trying to bring you down to their level. It's not you coming down to their level. They're trying to do it. So their unhappiness and neglect of actually understanding life is causing them to try to diminish others. Misery loves company.
What about you, Lewis? What do you do?
I just stopped for a second. Something I learned that I wasn't implementing when I was in juvenile placement. A counselor spoke to me about stopping for a second, breathing, and then making the decision. So what I've noticed is just the simple process of taking a deep breath and then thinking about all of the different ways that you could go. Because I've seen individuals who make that one split decision and now they have a life sentence or now they have 40 to 80 years. So for me personally, it's just like nothing is really worth it. I've been shot multiple times. I've lost my parents, and my whole thing is just all about peace and happiness. So if an individual isn't challenging or threatening my life, it's nothing's really worth it. So I've been able to get through a whole lot of things, and I feel good, and I feel like the energy that I put out there doesn't allow me to be in certain situations that brings about that, and I also know how to diffuse a situation. So it's all about energy, man. The energy you put out is the energy you receive. So I don't really receive that type of energy where individuals are pulling me back into that because I'm just not in those environments. Yep.
So you're picking your friends and everyone very closely, because like he mentioned, like, if you have a negative person, you put them around like 10 people, and honestly, that's a headache with having a negative person. I spend negative time with a negative person for like a long time, and it's draining. It brings you down. I just think the best thing is just kick them off to the curb and move on.
And
Go
just
with
keep
someone
moving.
positive person.
Absolutely. I
Right?
mean, may have things like where you see individuals who like maybe road rage and different things, or you might be driving and someone's looking at you a different type of way. But my whole thing is like just to try to avoid as much of it as possible because ultimately it really isn't worth it. We're gonna continue on our day, and by the end of the day, you talk to someone you love. You send out a text to my daughter, my girlfriend. Go do a workout. There's so many productive things that I can be doing because I know that that one false move can land you in a place where you'll be just sitting back thinking, "Why did I do this?" So yeah, I just think about the bigger picture before I make my decisions.
And you do the breath work. What does that look like? What's
So
that?
breath work is it's just simple. Just stopping for a second. Everything stops and just take a deep breath, even if you need to take a few of them. Because when you do that, it just calms the body, calms the mind. And it also,
Chakras, right?
yes,
Yeah.
it also allows me to reflect. So like I said, I have a bullet in my back. It's the reason I'm here. I have a purpose. I have promises that I made to my children. So I throw all of that stuff out the window, and it also could hinder the lives of family members that I will no longer be here to meet once I leave this place. My daughter's child, their children. It's like so the seeds that I'm planting now is not just for them and my intermediate family, but it's for individuals that I won't be here to meet. So I have to do my thing, man, and that promise, I won't break that promise. That's super important. One more is it's nothing like looking into your children's eyes and them believing in what you're saying, because even when they're not around, the seeds that you're planting, it's for us. It's no longer just about myself. Is for a long time I was selfish. I was young. I had my son, but I wasn't thinking about how it could affect my son. Now, conversations that he and I have now, with him being 25 and me being 41, it shows me the importance of making decisions, not just for myself, but for the whole. So that's where I'm at every single day. The content I'm putting out on social media, how I'm engaging with people, I'm always thinking about I'm representing a unit. So that's what it's all about, man.
That's awesome.
Well, the thing is, too, I mean, you said that, the people that are going to come later that you won't be able to meet or won't be able to see, you have a legacy. That's never going to go away. So that legacy will live on through the videos you've done, so people will know you. They will know how you think. So don't ever think that that's not true, because I still hear my grandmother talking to me when I'm praying. And when I'm saying that to you, I want you to look at me. I hear her like I'm talking to you. She's not gone. She's still telling me what to do, but she's not gone. But but your legacy lives on. I mean, that's one thing I hope when I leave this place, that I've made a difference in a few people's lives, which I've made a difference in thousands, and I know that from all the years I was on tour and stuff like that, doing seminars all the time, and that's what it's about. I mean, you're not going to be here forever. I might, because I'm 169. I lie. So, but that all of that is so important to understand. The people that believe in you are the people that should be in your life. People that don't believe in you, what's the point? I don't need to stand there and convince somebody to believe in me. If you know who I am, you know what I've done, you know what I do, then you either have a belief or you don't. And people that dislike me, they'll never understand that I know who they are, but I don't dislike them. I don't choose to dislike them. I just choose to, be nice to them.
That's all you can be, right?
Kindness. Kindness and love is what this world needs
It's
now, and that's
free.
what it needs. Yeah.
Being nice is free.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I always think being nice and just carry yourself being nice. Because like I said, my life, I could easily have chosen to be negative because I have all the rights to be negative. I'm a foster kid. I was homeless. I have single parent. I get all these dumb excuses. I could have easily done. I can be on the street. Like, I feel sorry for me, but I chose not to because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna keep this positivity, and great things happen my way. A lot of great things happen. So just like keeping that, because then other people recognize that and they see that. They see you for you. They don't see you for those bad things. Unless once you start opening up, then they have more respect for you. But I actually want to go back to Lewis. There's a story, man, it hit me when I was listening to that. When your daughter literally waited for you on the stairs, and you couldn't come back to that. Like that hit me hard because I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't have a daughter or anything like that, but I know what that feels like when someone's expecting you.
Yes.
And then they don't come. So.
And that's why I speak about that promise. The mother of my children didn't want to share this with me. I was like less than a year in on a 5-year sentence. And I would ask her, how are the children doing at night? What are they doing? Just, we're staying in tune. We're writing letters, having visits. And then she shared it with me one night and said, like, for the first 3 months, close to 3 months, she would periodically just sleep at the top of the steps. She wouldn't even sleep in her bed because she would be waiting for me to come home. So when I think about promises now, it takes on a whole new power. And her and I, my joy Ford is my daughter, my princess. We have a powerful relationship. However, it's things that, individuals say heal, and, those things you can never erase. So it's the memory of that motivates me to continue to do better. It's also the memory of that helps me understand that the way that I view myself has to change, like daily. So holding myself accountable to becoming better, and also communicating with my daughter in the spirit of transparency when she's dealing with different challenges. Because a lot of times we don't see how it affects our children in their daily activity based off of the things that, not that we taught them verbally, but the actions that we showed them. So that's my motivation daily, because I can't get it back, can't get that time back. However, I can do things now to show her that redemption is real. So that's my journey. That's the internal dialogue. That's winning the war within, not identifying with that individual who let his family down, not identifying with that individual who lost 5 years out of my children's lives, but being who I am today and making sure that I don't repeat those same habits that land me in prison. And it also showed my child when she messes up that, you can have redemption as well. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is being able to identify as human beings and not as I'm the father and I'm perfect. Because once they can see those imperfections, but you can also show them a way to avoid those, or be really kind to them when they mess up and ask them, what lesson did you learn, is something that has helped me. Because my father was a lieutenant in prison, and he would tell me, don't go this route because I don't want to see you as an inmate and me being a lieutenant at a prison. My mother was deeply into religion, and she would constantly tell me, don't grow up too fast. So not taking that advice landed me in a place where they were trying to help get me to avoid.
Right.
So, yeah.
Sorry, I do want to on the great note. I mean, I love like how hard that was to you, and I'm gonna go on and ask you how are the kids? Are they doing?
Yes.
Did they get the trademarks done? 'Cause I know 2 years ago they were looking for LLC.
Yeah, so Made by My Joy on Instagram, Made by My Joy, MIJOY. She has her own pastry company.
Nice.
So she's doing really well. My son is doing day trading, and he's working
Forex, right? Forex trading. Yeah.
Yep. And he's working 2 jobs. I love the research, man. He's working 2 jobs, and it's decent now because we're able to communicate in the spirit of transparency. Look, these were some of the pitfalls that I have. These are some of the challenges that you're facing today. And when you start really looking at the power of the communication, that's how you break cycles. That's how you put yourself in a position and your child in a position to see those failures and pitfalls so that they don't repeat them. And then some of those jewels my son can pass down to his unborn son. So those are the things that I think about. It's like, how can I be better today, not to erase the past, but to make sure that my son doesn't go down that path. So those are some of the challenges. But my children are doing well, man. My son's 25 and my daughter's 20.
Are they still involved with Warrior Mindset?
Yes,
Helping you out and stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
My son actually just got a Warrior Mindset tattoo.
Oh, check that out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
Where at?
Yeah, he has it on his forearm.
That's awesome.
And he also got my daughter's brand, Made by My Joy, right next to Warrior Mindset.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's it's a lot of support, it's a lot of love, but the most important thing is him being able to tell me some of the areas in which he's struggling. And we can both be transparent, because I can share some of the stories that I got from my father and my grandfather with him, and we're just like breaking cycles. That's what it's all about, breaking those cycles.
Because we all know about generational trauma.
Yes.
So-
You pass it down.
Yeah.
So when I speak about the warrior mindset, it's not just helping individuals get physically fit, but starting in the mind. Like, how do I view myself? No matter where you came from, you can use all of that past trauma and turn that pain into power by just having a different perspective. So I'm no longer in prison, but now I could put myself in a position where I remember, I reflect, taking that deep breath, looking in those journals when I used to write to myself, and now being grateful for today, being able to walk, not being in a wheelchair, being able to tell my son that I love him, tell my daughter that I love her, be there for my sisters as well as my older brother. And you really start realizing, like, damn, it's just all about love and planting positive seeds. Nothing else really matters. Love and planting positive seeds, and you'll get all of that stuff in return. So,
Absolutely.
You got a question?
No, I
That was
mean,
awesome.
This is awesome. I really appreciate having you. You're definitely awesome. I love those stories. I mean, geez. I mean, how can you top that? Zipper.
Anyway, no, it's interesting learning more today. How much our lives really reflect each other. Okay, and what we've all gone through. Again, I'm from, no mother, no father. My grandparents raised me. They got old quick. When I was young, they were gone, but they taught me. They taught me what life was about. They didn't need to teach me about a job. They didn't teach me I had to get out and I had to work. My grandfather told me one thing in my life. He said, when a man works, he gets paid. If you don't work, you don't get paid. And that rings in my head all the time, that you've got to work to get paid. So I mean, it's just the life lessons they taught me. They didn't let me slide through anything. They were never mean, never yelled. Except one time when I was just going to leave home, my grandfather said, "We brought you into this world, we'll take you out." Said, so you better be wise with what you're doing. I went out and told just a real quick story. I went and told my grandfather one night. He was in his chair. He was an engineer for Lockheed, and he was in the development of the Concorde jet, the nose. He was one of the engineers in it. And I walked out. Grandpa, I said, "I don't have to go to school anymore." And he goes, okay. I said, wow, that was easy. I don't have to go to school anymore. And about a half hour later, he called me back out the front room. He said, come over here. This are the bills I pay for your grandmother. She's my wife. But you need to get a job. You need to start paying a third of these bills. The bills are going to be $3,000 a month, your cost. How much do you make an allowance? $2 a week? He said, you better start working hard, then you ain't going anywhere, dude. You know, but you learn. You learn those lessons. Those lessons are strong and they're embedded in my mind. I can hear them talking now. I mean, and you have to elevate yourself. People look and they go, well, I'm here right now. Okay, well, where are you going? Oh, I'll just do the same thing over and over again. I'll get stuck in that rut. I've got a job. I get out of bed after my job. I go home. I eat. And so they get stuck in a rut. They have no ambitions, no nothing. I mean, I look back. I spent 2.5 years on tour in Europe when I finished competing. Okay? I was all over the world. I was in the Middle East, every country. That was different times. Okay? You know, and I spent life all over the world, sometimes 20 cities a month, and I was paid to do it. How many people in their life that have money see the whole world? And I'm still doing things to this day in Europe and stuff that started back then. Like I told you, I'm going on a Rhine River cruise in about 4 weeks. That's part of my competing. The people that are helping to finance that and everything are people that believed in me and saw me throughout the years, and now they want to help. They want to help. No, we got this, man. Don't worry about it.
You know what's special about that? And this is a question to both of you guys. What's the best feeling in the world when you have people that you've looked at, like you've helped them out and you were there for them and they return that favor? Like I know you're working with the kids out in Philadelphia trying to change them and everything, but like, what's that? Like, when you get that feeling, because I've had someone I did a scholarship for, I'm not going to say I was really positive about that. It did create a scholarship for a foster to travel the world. And, you know, I didn't really get thank you for it, and it kind of hurt a little bit, but I know what it means like to actually have someone come up to you and be like, thank you. You changed my life.
Yes.
And you're getting that from all your people. How does that feel like? What does that feel like to you? What does that mean?
It's an amazing feeling. You know, like graduating college and stuff like that was great. But what I did in college, and I graduated with 2 master's degrees, I don't use those master's degrees. Not on anything in my life. I don't use the stuff that I use in college. Everything's different now. So you look and you go, you know, what is this about? Remember I told you, my grandmother said, if you help one person in your life, you're a successful man. She was holding my hand when she left this earth with a medal I just won, a first place medal, gold medal. She had it in her hand. She hadn't talked in weeks. She said, I love you, son. I asked you to help one, you helped thousands. And she closed her eyes. That's powerful. That's powerful. So again, you know, you look and go, changing anybody's life. If you're not changing somebody's life in some way, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you here? Why are there billions of people? So I can just walk by them and not give them any information that could help them. Mm-hmm. So I got into the field that, you know, obviously I did well in. Mm-hmm. And it's the most gratifying feeling in the world. It makes you feel like you're complete. And, you know, a lot of times, and I know he'll agree with me, you don't feel complete. You know, you feel like you're going on the wrong road, and you get back on that trail and you realize that there's a lot of people out there after not competing now since 1991. I've still got people calling me from all over the world. So that right there, that's respect. Remember? That's respect. I had a guy the guy's at the gym. I'll introduce you to him. He's a black guy, pretty good shape. He competed against me 35 years ago. There were 15 or 20 people in my class, and he walks up and we're talking about it. And some people in the gym were listening. I said, you competed against Zipper? Yeah. How'd you do? Well, I think there was 15 in my class, and I got 14th. How did Zipper do? He looked and laughed. He said, nobody beat him in those years. No one. So that's a very gratifying feeling that somebody remembers you like that, and he's next competitor. He said easily won it. So, you know, it's like, that's not winning a contest. It's winning in life. All these trophies and stuff, they're all beautiful. But I don't really go around and look at them. I know what I did. People know what I did. So it keeps me enthused. It keeps me believing there's still more to come. Mm-hmm. That my father's not through with me now, and that's not my father. That's that guy. He's not through with me. He's not through with you either. Or you. There's always more that he's going to give to you. And it's not a challenge. It's what you need to have to continue going on. You know, that's why people become so recluse and they just get depressed and they're on all these medications and stuff like that because they can't figure it out on their own. So now you're screwed up with medications that have withdrawal symptoms, and you get off them and you're worse, and they give you more medications.
Right.
You know, you look at our system is a very twisted, very backward system. Very backward, you know? And I just got to look at, you got to always look to move forward, to move up, not move down, you know, and nobody can bring you down unless you allow it.
Right.
Unless you allow it. Right. Again, it's just changing your mind. Anything in life, I don't care what it is, change your mind. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, how do you believe in anybody else? If you don't love yourself, how do you love somebody else? If you don't care about yourself, how do you care about somebody else? Mm-hmm. You know, it has to be something that you have here, which obviously you have, but you learned it. You learned it. You have care, you have love, you have kindness, and that's what you should spread. And, you know, but people, they'll listen to that, but they don't really necessarily hear. Because I have this problem, that problem, everyone. What do you think? I've never had problems? I've gone a whole life, 169 years without a problem. Unbelievable.
Right.
So, but yeah, so it's what more could I do? What more gratifying thing could I do than help other people change their lives?
Right.
Change their bodies, change their lives, change everything. And my work that you say do at the gym, it's in the proof is in the pudding. You know, so that's what it's all about. And those people won't be there forever, but they'll remember you.
Right.
They'll remember the contribution you made to their life.
Right.
And I remember this in turn. That makes a great contribution to my life because they believed in me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about cause and effect. So the negative seeds that I was planting, no matter if the excuse was to take care of my family, I'm selling drugs, the negative seeds that I was planting landed me in prison. So in order to change that trajectory, I had to start planting positive seeds. I had a family member that would always, while I was in the street, check on me, and she would tell me, no matter how good or how much you're doing for your family, you can't grow a positive garden by planting negative seeds. So it used to, the conscience, like while being in the street selling drugs, it would bother me. But it was just being caught in that rapture and chasing money, landed me in prison. So the motivation was, now I have to plant positive seeds. These are some of the things that I can be proud. I can show my family, I can show my children that I have a training app where I'm helping individuals not only get off of anxiety meds, but they're dealing with high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and we're helping these individuals have a transformation, not just physically, but mentally as well. You know, selling the merchandise with positive affirmations on the wording, and putting out posts that's inspiring individuals, and getting messages where individuals saying they're thinking about committing suicide. And I spoke to them about winning that war within and destroying those inner demons and overcoming self-doubt. So being able to plant all those seeds and not just thinking about doing it for the money, but just for the sake of planting positive seeds and having my children see that, you can redeem yourself no matter what you're going through. So that's the whole thing with me, man. It feels good. Just doing the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing feels great. And creating habits to become better every single day, and challenging myself and being totally honest with my mirror reflection. And if there's some things that may be a weakness that I'm embarrassed about, or some of the things that I can see that are coming from the past that are still hindering me today, just winning that war and creating habits day in and day out and holding myself accountable, and affirmations and books and listening to audio books in my car, just consistently brainwashing myself and deprogramming and reprogramming. So it's just a challenge to be better. That's what life is all about, just daily, day in and day out, planting positive seeds and becoming better, because there's individuals who are watching you, not just my family, but individuals that I may not even know they see you on social media. If you've done research, and it's just like, wow, man, just be who you are, consistently be better, and be transparent. Because there's some individuals out there that are dealing with some of the same things that you're dealing with or have overcome. So that's what it's all about, man. Winning that war within and helping the next person.
I think always learning too. Any books that you recommend for people out there right now?
Yes. So the first book that I read from cover to cover when I was inside was Think and Grow Rich: A Black Choice by Dr. Kimbrough. And the second one, which was the most profound, was 16 Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. I'm currently reading a book by Zig Ziglar, Born to Win, and he speaks about the importance of planning having goals, and not just having a goal, but having a daily course of action that gets you closer towards that goal. And another individual, Myron Golden on YouTube, he's really good. He speaks about when you're working towards something and you feel like it isn't working for you, it's actually working on you. So it speaks to being, like you have to be, become, and then do the action, and then have. We want to get to where we have to go. You have your trophy zipper, but you had to, all of those days behind the scene when nobody was watching you, you were becoming the individual that could stand on that stage and motivate and get that number one trophy. So a lot of the work that needs to be done behind the scenes is a thing that a lot of individuals avoid. And that's my thing with daily deposits on becoming better. So yeah, those are some good books right there. And Outwitting the Devil as well. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill's a great writer.
Yeah,
Good choice. Yeah, no, I appreciate you dropping those books. So, the thing about this thing about us and about me and about you, we're constantly learning. We're constantly learning, and there's always just like you could always do better. Always room of improvement. I know I have it, so it's like you're constantly learning. And the thing is about people don't forget is just like the trophy thing. They don't see the behind the scenes. They don't see it. Like, look, this podcast stuff, like, it might look all fun and games, but I have to go back here and edit. I have to go back and do it. It takes time. I have to research the individuals. If you want to be a good podcast person, research the person. Don't ask the same questions that were asked in past interviews. Expand from it if you want to know more, because there's a lot of people that are, they want to know more about you. So you expand and you learn more. And I just love the beauty of this. I love people. You're constantly learning. That's awesome. You're constantly trying to plant positive seeds. We need more people like that, because guess what? And yeah, your kids might change, but your kids are going to change, and then those positive seeds, they're going to influence other people along the way too. And you're just changing the environment.
Yes.
It becomes an awesome place. So appreciate that. That's awesome.
Okay, so for books for me that are been very powerful in my life. Number one, The 1 Minute Manager. Every person in the world should read it. It takes you a half hour. The 1 Minute Manager basically explains, it's the greatest book ever written. I read it when I was like 15 by Kenneth Blanchard. Okay? And what it basically explains is that we go at people and we tell them what to do wrong. People don't like to be told what they've done wrong. But okay, you know what, Lewis? Bench press was flawless today, man. The incline dumbbell press, but you were a little bit short on your flies. I didn't hurt your feelings. I didn't run up and say, hey, you're doing those flies wrong. You tell them something positive. In business, in law, tell them something positive before you rip them apart and try to pull their heart out of their chest. So very, very powerful. Everybody should read the 1 Minute Manager. Another book that's everybody in corporate America read. It's called Gung Ho. Gung Ho is basically I'll just be real short with it. Gung Ho, this lady was running a department in this big corporation back east. And they wanted to get rid of her. So they figured they'd do it. So they'd overload the department. Said, she's not going to be able to handle the stress and pressure. She'll quit. Something will happen. Or this part of the business will be gone. Well, there's an Indian man that worked for her. He'd been there like 30 years. He's going to talk with you. Came in. And he said, I'm going to tell you 3 things that are going to change your life. The secret of the squirrel, the way of the beaver, and the gift of the goose. Remember, I'm an Indian. And she laughed right there. So the secret of the squirrel is they gather food and they put it away so everybody can eat. The way of the beaver, have you ever seen a beaver build a dam? They build it, it falls down, they'll get more stuff. They'll keep building it and building it and building it until it's fine. Okay, and geese, how do geese fly? They fly in a triangle like that, right? Okay. The only one honking is the geese behind the lead goose. The lead goose, they're cheering him on. Those geese behind him, then they'll switch off. Another one will go to the front. He stops honking. The other ones, they cheering him on. So the secret of the squirrel, the way of the beaver, and the gift of the goose. The secret of the squirrel, help others. The way of the beaver, never give up. Okay, and the gift of the goose, cheer them on.
Wow.
And she took that to heart. To this day, that's the most successful part of that company in the United States. She turned it completely around, and they wanted to get rid of her. So you look, to this day, she set up all the new structure, everything. But listen to that Indian man, those 3 things, And Seeds of Greatness by Dennis Waitley. Absolutely amazing book. Easy to read. And The Winner's Edge by Dr. Dennis Waitley. And, he did just little things and just real quick. He came home because he was always out speaking and stuff like that. And his little kid was sitting there in the high chair and she wouldn't eat her peas. And the mother's feeding her and the mouth's getting bigger and bigger. He walks over, he says, honey, let me show you how to do that. He puts one more spoon in, the baby spits it all over him. So sometimes you just don't know that you don't know what to do. That was her job. It wasn't my job. But those books are just extremely powerful because they get to your heart and soul and they talk to it. Dennis Waitley's great. Sheldon Bowles and Kenneth Blanchard, who did the 1 Minute Manager, they also wrote another book called The High Five Team. I have a signed edition in there. I went down to the seminar after I read the book for them to a standing ovation, 5,000 people.
Wow.
Because I got it.
I'll make sure to drop all the books down.
High Five Team is just, you read it and you go, wow. Wow. Just, and it all goes back to if you read any real good motivational books, it also goes back to basics. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go into anything technical. The High Five Team, I'm reading the first chapter. There was a hockey team in this high school hockey team, and they had one of the greatest players in all the high schools, but the rest of the team didn't function. Without him, they couldn't do anything. Well, he was failing his classes, and so he was kicked off the team. The lady who beat John Wooden's record for basketball wins, female, okay? She had 11 national championships. They hired her. She came down, dress on, high heels. She walked out on the ice. It's hockey. She stands on the ice in the middle, and she tells the team, line up, skate to me and stop right in front of me. And she's in high heels with a purse on to dress. What if they don't stop quite on time? So and they did it. Said, okay, now you have to learn how to turn left and right. So she started them back with the very, very basics. You have to learn how to lace your shoes. John Wooden was good. John Wooden wouldn't let you play on the team until he taught you how to put your shoes on and tie your shoes. And John Wooden was a friend of mine. Okay? And he would not, I went to UCLA. But he became a very good friend. But they went back to very, very basics. This school 2 years later was one of the #1 hockey teams in the United States. All basics. You don't need to go play games. You don't know how to play games. You don't know how to stop. You don't know how to start. You don't know how to turn. Those things you become efficient at, and that's what she did. She worked with them for like a month, and the coach was like, I can't believe this. Then they brought back the superstar, except for one thing. Now all the guys on the team were all superstars. They all had it. They all had what they needed to do to make that. So but again, Seeds of Greatness, The Winner's Edge, High Five Team, and 1 Minute Manager. Probably the 4 most powerful books I ever read in my life. The 1 Minute Manager, probably the most powerful.
No, that is powerful though.
You read it?
No, I have not, but I mean, it sounds like a...
Are you going to read it and you're going to go like this? I get it. I get it. It's powerful.
But that's all you do. You keep reteaching yourself on the line.
Going down the road, though,
Yeah.
they hired me, Kenneth Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles hired me to do seminars for them. I just read the book. And then I put a resume out, and he called me on the phone. He says, tell me about the book. So I told him, he was, damn it. You got it. I said, yeah, I got it. He said, well, I need to hire you to come down and do a couple seminars for my people, But it's just those are the things they internally get to you, and they change your focus the way you think immediately. This is immediate. It's not like, hey, down the road, I'll get this. No, it's changed now, immediately. So those are some of my one of the biggest inspirations I've had.
And I want to go to this. So I'll ask everyone because I think it's very popular now. It's getting tossed around. I know you say you had one, a therapist. I don't know if you're still doing it, but that's like a really popular thing right now. What's your take on a therapist? What's your take on a therapist, and when your outcomes of having one for a while? I personally don't have one, and I choose to not have one because I had a bad trauma experience with one when I was a kid, and it's like I still trying to get over that. But I had a spiritual person, so I kind of just picked what works for me. So that's my question.
Go ahead.
Well, my experience with therapy, I'll say my take. I don't feel I'm my own therapist, and life experiences is what I learn from. So, for me personally, I would much rather write in a journal reflect, be brutally honest with myself. And when I say brutally, I mean not just pointing out the things that I know I'm strong at, but also pointing out the things that I feel like are my weaknesses that are holding or impeding my growth. So to answer your question, self-therapy for me works. Now I know that it changed from each and every other individual, but for me being my own therapist is great. And then allowing my actions to help me navigate through life and meet different people that can also help me learn more about myself. So organic, keeping it organic. And I feel like with therapy, it if you don't going to someone else, no one knows you more than you know yourself if you're honest with yourself.
Right.
So I feel like for therapy, it's almost like a handicap. A lot of individuals they want to be told what to do and the things that they have issues with, but it's actually applying, it's doing the necessary work to become better. So that's where I'm at with it. Being my own therapist has been great because I know for a fact,
That's man,
yeah,
powerful right there.
yeah, there's some things that we just avoid for the sake of avoiding. And a lot of times we'll get advice externally and we still won't apply the things that we know we need to apply. So it all comes back to you having the power, us having the power, and that warrior mindset, like winning that war within and doing what's necessary to get better.
Because like they say, like at the end of the day, you come first, and it's always you with yourself. You're the
That's-
one sleeping with in that bed. Like you're the one waking up every single day, putting on those shoes.
Yes.
It's a battle within yourself.
And you've been with yourself from day one.
Right.
So even you may lie to your therapist. It's like once we're brutally honest with ourselves, we can go ahead and troubleshoot and eradicate all of those different issues that we're dealing with if we want to change. It's all about making a decision to change and doing the work daily because I'm still doing the work. We're all still doing the work. We'll never reach mastery or perfection, but it's all about just doing a consistent work.
I
awesome.
100% agree with him. I'm a pretty much an advocate against psychiatrists, therapists. It's a written down thing. They follow a certain pattern for each person. Okay? They never delve into who you really are. They don't get it. How do they know who I am? How do they know who I am if they haven't been with me through my life? And I can sit and tell them stories and stuff like that, but they're also, you got an hour. And after 60 minutes, you got to go home. You know, but I look, there's one therapist I saw, this was years and years ago, probably back in the late 70s. One of my clients paid him. He was expensive. Jim Palmer. He was on Ventura Boulevard in Encino. She said, "You're going through a lot of problems, Mike. And it sounds like a lot of problems from your past." She was a very sharp lady. Okay. And so I got to get an appointment with him. Why don't you go see him? No, I'm not going to see him. Finally said, "Okay, I'll go." So I go there and I walk into his office. I sit down. He says, "You look a little frustrated." I said, "Why do you think I'm here?" He started laughing, and he got up and walked out.
Shit.
I'm going, she paid like $500 an hour for me to see this guy. Where is he? 10 minutes later, he came back in with a cup of coffee. Would you get me one? No. I didn't know you drank coffee. Sits down, and now I'm getting frustrated. This is what psychology is. I'm getting frustrated. What the hell are you doing? My client paid $500 an hour for me to come to you, and I didn't pay it, and I'm pissed off about what you did. He gets up and leaves again. Come back about 8 minutes later. I go, what the hell is going on here? Am I on candid camera? Am I being punked? What's going on? So anyway, he comes back and he sits down and he goes, "Do you want to talk now?" I said, "I want to talk 18 minutes ago, but you left." He goes, "Settle down. Do you want to talk now?" I said, "What?" He said, "Settle down." I looked at him and I said, "What?" He said, "Talk to me like the gentleman that you are, and I will talk to you properly." So I settled down, took some deep breaths before I rip his head off and shit down his neck. But I mean, really, reality, I'm sitting there going like, you know, and I'm like shaking. This is not right. He looks at me and he goes, "My little kid part of me was just like you. As a matter of fact, I could almost be in your family." I said, "What?" He said, "You react." And he didn't know when I had problems in my life. At 5, so you're like a 5 or 6-year-old. And I'm like, that was the worst part of my life. And he said, "I want you to sit here and I want you to listen to me. My 5 and 6-year-old was just as powerful as yours. maybe not quite as powerful. You get a little bit upset. Okay? He said, and I had to get in touch with him. He said, how'd you do it? He said, I'm going to tell you. He was a psychiatrist that took on like murder cases and stuff that decided if somebody was guilty or not of murder, stuff like that. He said, I had a case that I was doing one day, and I had to go into the court the following morning. I woke up that morning. This guy's a genius. I forgot everything about the case. I go, what? I'm testifying at 11 o'clock. This could be this guy's life's on the hand, and he's guilty. At least I think he is, because I don't remember what I went through. God honest truth. He goes, and I walked into the courtroom, and I'm a nervous wreck. I sat down, and I realized, wait a minute. I had to take my little 5-year-old. I had to put him on the bench next to me, because he was the new lawyer, or new psychiatrist. 5-year-old was taking over. I had horrible problems when I was young at that time. So he was taking over. He was going to handle the case. So I took him and I sat him there, went through the case. Everything came back to me. It went perfect. And then we lived in the court, and I had to walk back in because I left my 5-year-old sitting on the bench. That's how powerful your little kid part of you can be. Yeah. And it will come out at any time in a flash. He said, your little kid's just like mine. And I got it.
Wow.
I got it. Because that's how I was. You cross the line, I'll go after you. So it's amazing how powerful the little kid, for all of us, the little kid part of us will take over. And it can take over in a minute. And pretty soon it's controlling your life. So he said, imagine, Mike, if a 5-year-old testified in a murder case. So you got to realize, and wow. I've had to stay in touch with that my whole life. And that was back in like the 70s. I can go there. I can go there very quickly. Sometimes I'll hear somebody say something like the way my mother talks. In the same words.
Triggered.
I get irritated. Mm-hmm. It's not my mother. Some other lady said it, So it's a matter of getting back in touch and being able to control that. And I think throughout my life, I've had a lot. You don't become what I've done without being an aggressive athlete. You have to be very aggressive, very disciplined, beyond belief. And the bottom line is I realized that those were the traits. A lot of those traits came from that little kid. But I had to go put it in there so I wouldn't take it out on somebody else. And it was powerful for me. And to this day, I still watch that little kid. I'll be out with Virginia or something. Somebody will say something. I'll be like, oh, okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I catch it.
Right.
But I didn't used to catch it. I just go off.
No, I
you know what I'm talking about.
I relate with that. Because once I get to the point where I've lost a job or something, I go back to knowing how to hustle and how to get into what I need to do. I'm like, I know what to do. I know how to survive. My mom showed me how to survive. I know exactly where I need to go, who to talk to. I know all the people where they're at. I know what to do. And it's like, but I get to that point, but then I go back and I'm like, no.
Oh, it's a spiral.
That's where you don't want to end up at, because like, again, you have people looking up to you. And if you end up in those situations and you end up in that mindset again, you're going to beg. The devil loves company.
Well, you just said, just one thing. You say people look up to you. Well, go back to that question was, how does it feel? I have people look up to me and believe in me. If I let them down, who am I? What am I worth? So I don't. I won't. And I can't. So I can't let myself down. I've not missed a workout in 41 years. Not missed a workout ever. When I was injured, I trained. Because that was what saved my life. People think that you're just lifting weights. No, you're saving your life. You're getting the hormones to change, the endorphins to change. Yes. It's actually saving your life. Yes.
And just goes back to like just learning yourself, knowing yourself. That helped me. Sitting in solitary confinement allowed me to eliminate distractions, outside noise, and just sit with myself. So you can do that out here in the free world. Just turn off social media, sit with yourself, write in a journal. And when we can be honest with ourselves, we can have the awareness to see, all right, when we're going down that path, those triggers, those weaknesses, those strengths, how do we view ourselves today? And when you say about not missing a workout, it's just all about, it's easy to make an excuse not to do something, but it's becoming that person. it's consistently sharpening that sword, and you feel good about yourself. So it's all about rooting ourselves on and monitoring our wins. It could be a small win. It could be something as simple as be something as simple as not just making a workout, but waking up in the day and eating your breakfast, sticking to a meal plan, sticking to making that phone call to someone that you know you want to make amends with, and just saying, I love you, man, and I apologize. Just something small, but that's a win. So stacking wins and making sure that we express gratitude for those wins, because a lot of times we magnify when we mess up, our failures, our pains, our regrets. Yeah. But it's like, changing the perspective and stacking wins, no matter how small they are. You woke up on time. You set your alarm clock. You got up out of the bed as soon as the alarm went off. You said hi to 10 people. That was a goal that you set, to say hi or introduce yourself to 10 people. That's a win. Just consistently stacking those wins and expressing gratitude for those wins and creating a habit of creating good habits consistently.
And don't pick on yourself. Like my mentor, rest in peace, she always used to say, don't ever pick on yourself, because I can do that for free.
Yes.
So don't do it.
Yep.
Because picking on yourself, man, it's like the biggest thing. It's the worst thing you could do for yourself, is pick on yourself.
And to speak to that, with social media, with this being a podcast, in this day and age, we have to be our own best friend. Because a lot of times we'll change our perspective, we'll change our views, we'll change our thoughts based off of likes, views, comments, subscribers, or how this individual is doing. But ultimately, it's like when you're living in your purpose, no matter what feedback you're getting, you got to make sure that you're staying true to that purpose. So that can sometimes be a challenge when you're building, when you're growing, when you're trying to reach out to different people. But our tribes are out there. So as long as we're planting those positive seeds, the individuals who it needs to reach, it'll reach. And the ones that it doesn't, it shouldn't have anyway.
Oof. I really appreciate these two individuals that joined me here today. And if you guys want to reach out to them or get to know more about what they do and what stuff they have out there, you guys can reach out to them at Zipper, please, if you want to share your information.
Yeah, I mean, you can get in touch with me with messaging.
Doesn't matter. It can be on Instagram, or if they can reach out.
Zipper at iCloud.com. And my messaging, you can go to just my name, Mike Sable, and pull that up, and it'll come up, and you go from there. Whatever questions you have, I'll try to answer them all. I try to always make sure that I take care of the people around me. Whatever negative stuff you have, send it to somebody else.
Love it. And Lewis, how can they reach out to you?
So you can reach out to me on Instagram at Lewis Ford. That's LEWISFORD _WM, short for Warrior Mindset. And you can also go to the YouTube, Lewis Ford at Warrior Mindset. And the website is warriormindset.store. I want to say I appreciate you for having me on here, man. And when I see you at the gym, it's always good energy, just like with Zipper. And that's what it's all about, connectivity, planting these positive seeds, and hope to do this again down the road. You can show our progression.
Absolutely. But next time when we do that again, I got to have some of those cupcakes from your daughter.
Sounds like a winner. Let's do it.